In this video, we're going to talk about how the calculations are done in the self-finance program. This is going to be of not very much interest to most people, but if you're having an issue with figuring out why the numbers are what they are, this will be very helpful in figuring all that out. I'm going to show you in detail what happens when you enter a payment in the following videos. But to summarize here, first, you calculate the interest from the last significant event. A significant event is a payment or a penalty. We know the daily interest, and we know how many days it's been since the last significant event, and so you multiply those two numbers together. Second, we add that to the existing negative interest. The negative interest is any interest left over from a previous set of calculations. Third, we take the payment and we pay off the negative interest. So now you have two issues. First, if the payment was not large enough, then you have to leave some residual negative interest. And second, if there is still money left from the payment, subtract that from the balance of the loan. We'll go back to our usual stock number that we've been using, 2700. So here is our usual screen. You can see we've already done some payments, and we have made one change, and we've made one penalty. We are in C-Type 1. What I'm about to talk about only works in C-Type 1. If you're in the older C-Type 0, you'll have to change it to C-Type 1 in order for this to be seen. So that's where this standard button comes from. You click that button, and now you get a whole bunch of extra information showing. The information we're interested in is usually above where you made an entry. I like to call each of the lines on the original screen as a significant event. So a significant event is you made a payment or you created a penalty. So what we see here is a significant event at August 8th, which is the first payment required for this loan. And above it, we see how we got there. We started out with a balance of $6,801.25. We are 29 days from that date on August 8th. So we have accumulated an interest of $54.25. That payment looks to see if there's any negative interest, which is the $54.25. So we have accumulated an interest in that 29 days of $54.29. The first thing I do is I add that value to whatever is in the negative interest. Then I look to see if there is a negative interest, and I take away from the payment of $590.07 whatever that negative interest is, in this case $54.25, making the negative interest zero and leaving $543.82 out of the payment. This $543.82 is subtracted from whatever the balance was, which is $6,801, leaving a new balance of $6,257.43. Paid on the principal was $543.82. So here we see the original payment was $598.07. The actual payment made to the principal was $543 because the accumulated interest was $54.25. The total interest thus far is $54.25. The new balance is $6,257, and we have added to the principal $543.82. If I now go to the next significant event, which is a payment 1 month from now, we will see that it's been 31 days since that last significant event. In that time, there was $53.38 accumulating. We took that away from the payment of $598.07, leaving $544.69. Subtract that from the previous balance, leaves us $6,712.74. Paid on the principal is $544.69. Here's the $544.69. Here's the $53.28 interest. Total accumulated is $107.62. New balance is 5712. The new amount paid on the principal is 1088. And so on. So let's get to something kind of interesting. So on 11.5, we see we made that change event that we talked about in the previous video. We don't really do anything there. On 12.12, which is the next significant event, we can see that we had 57 days since the last significant event dealing with a payment. That's because we skipped a payment in October. So here we are in November. The last payment was 57 days ago, and that creates a negative interest of $91.86. So that gives us an accumulated interest of $91.86 since the last significant event. We reduce that payment to zero. What's left is $208.14. The payment reduces the balance to $59.66. Paid on the principal was $208.14. On 2/1, we added a penalty of $20. This is a significant event. So what you can see is we created the negative interest that accumulated since the last significant event, which was on 12/12, 2 months ago. So it's quite a large number. A change is not a significant event, so you don't see any negative interest accumulated then. So on 2/10 was the next payment. That's only 9 days from when we established the penalty. In that 9 days, there was $14.78 of interest, which we add to the existing negative interest of $83.96, giving us a total negative interest of $98.70. So the $50 was applied to that amount of negative interest, but it wasn't as big as the negative interest. So we still have $48.70 left of negative interest, and we've used up our payment. So here's that $48.70 of negative interest. We still have the $20 of penalty, and essentially there was nothing paid on the principal. On 2/21, we make a payment of $750. We won big at the casino the night before. So the first thing we do is we figure out that we are 11 days from the last event. We've accumulated $18.03 in interest, so we add that to the previous negative interest of $48.70, giving us $66.73 of negative interest. After we pay that off, our $750 payment is down to $683.27. We then apply that to the balance, leaving $5,283, and we paid on the principal $683.27. And you can see all that listed here. I'm going to now go back to the normal screen. And so where there might have been a lot of magic in how these numbers appear, if you look at the actual details of what's going on, a lot of it should make sense.